So I was doing, as many of you probably are, working hard, not giving too much thought perhaps to whether my priorities were the right ones, but I had a busy job in London as a journalist on a glossy magazine. I had a nice flat, I had good friends, I had close family. We thought we were doing everything right in life to be happy. My husband and I lived in North London in a flat in Zone 2. You know, we tried to make it nice. It was very small, it was underground, a bit like a hobbit house. But we were doing everything we thought we should be. We both worked very long hours, so often only encountered the other person as a warm body in the bed at night. And we didn't really have much time to see the family and friends that we held so dear. But we again thought that was normal, so we didn't give too much thought to it. We'd also been trying for a baby for as long as either of us could remember, but we were so tired and stressed all the time that it just wasn't working after 2 years of fertility treatment. And then my husband was offered this opportunity to work for Lego in Denmark. And we were just given this chance out of the blue to swap everything we knew for the unknown, which was terrifying, which many of you may also have seen. And I was just about to kind of call advertising standards when I sort of started doing some research, started Googling, as many of us do, and found out that Denmark has in fact regularly been voted the happiest country in the world, as Mark said, in studies going back to the 1970s. So this isn't just a recent thing. This is, 40 plus years of hardcore happiness in this tiny nation of just 5.5 million people. That's the same size as South London. I mean, just extraordinary. They looked more relaxed as well. They walked more slowly. They took the time to look at their surroundings. I was just noticing one of the Action for Happiness posters there. They did that in a way that I certainly didn't do in London, and I don't know if you do. I was normally sort of eyes down or eyes up, just get to where I had to be. But the Danes we met in rural Jylland, so not Copenhagen, not the big city, in the rural part of Denmark, they were looking around, they were taking their time to stop and talk to each other and eat together often, and just breathe. And we were really impressed by this. And I quit my job, and everyone thought I was insane. And I decided that I would give it a year. So I thought, well, I'll go freelance. The beauty of being a journalist, I can do that. I thought I would work as a Scandinavia correspondent for UK newspapers. And my main objective was to dig into this happiness idea. So intention set, objective outlined, I thought I would look at a different area of Danish living each month to see what Danes did differently, whether I could steal the best bits and take it with me to make a change in my life. So, bravely, we moved, and my husband left to go to work at 8 a.m, and I had no friends, I had no family, I had no job, and I thought perhaps I just made the biggest mistake of my life. Fortunately, my first lesson in what it really is to live Danishly came not long after, when the roads cleared and offices emptied, because rush hour in Denmark is 4 p.m. And that was really when I started to learn about this work-life balance thing. So I just about had a chance to brush the pastry crumbs off myself, have some lunch, answer some emails, when my other half was home again from work at 4 p.m. And I took this to be first day exception, like easing the new boy in gently. But the next day it happened again. And the day after that. And the one after that. And then Friday rolled around, and he was home at 2:30 p.m. I had sort of my hair unbrushed, still in my pajamas, coffee cups around my desk. Like, my hair is often in the unbrushed state, I'm afraid. I wondered whether something had happened. I was talking, ironically, to a time management expert in Boston. And then my husband rolls in, and I immediately thought, oh my goodness, has he been fired? Is something wrong? Has Lego melted? But no, he assured me, people just leave even earlier on a Friday, which I found extraordinary. So I did some digging as a journalist, and I discovered that the official working week in Denmark is 37 hours, so still far fewer than the 50-plus hour weeks we were used to putting in back home. But the average Dane actually only works for 34 hours a week, according to statistics. So that leaves 134 hours a week to just have a nice time. And because of this, Denmark has the happiest workforce in the EU. They come top of the world in terms of worker motivation. But this doesn't make Danes slackers. So the obvious, the old capitalist argument is, well, if you're not going to work so hard, then, the country's not going to be very productive. But actually, workers are more productive if you're in a positive state of mind, as I'm sure many of you know. And Denmark comes third in in worker productivity in the whole of the EU. So there's something about this that's working, and I started digging into it a little bit more and speaking to everyone who would take the time to talk to, and calling up experts, and people were very kind with their time and took pity on me, I think, moving to rural Denmark in winter. And I discovered a little bit more about the way Danes do things. So they have this amazing word that I apologize to any Danes or indeed Scandinavians in general in the audience, arbejdsglæde, which is from the Danish arbejde, which is to work, and glæde, which is happiness. And it literally means happiness at work, something that is essential for the good life, and this word doesn't exist outside of the Nordic languages, but everyone in Denmark knows about it. So because of this arbejdsglæde, everybody prioritizes happiness at work. They know this is something that's important, and they make sure that they're going to get it. And there's a very flat hierarchical structure, so it's totally okay to call out your boss or challenge a colleague, and there's a real consensus culture, so that by the time any decision is made, everyone's sort of bought into it and everyone feels that they're invested in a little bit. So this kind of relaxed atmosphere, these great working hours, are really contributing to Danes having a pretty good time at work. And because Danes still get to study for free and even get paid for it over the age of 18 with student grants, remember them, more of them can study to do a job they actually like, which of course means you're going to be slightly happier at work. You know, nobody's going to be incentivized to be an accountant, no offense any accountants, because you're not, you know, if they don't want to be, because you're going to pay high taxes anyway, and you could study whatever you like. So people are having a pretty good time of it. Danes expect this arbejdsglæde, they expect to be happy. And if they're not, they do something about it. So whereas in the UK, we have this culture of soldiering on because admitting that sort of weakness could really harm your career prospects, in Denmark, there's no question of that. It just doesn't happen over here, and certainly not in the US when I've spoken to people over there about it. So that was fascinating to me to get my head around. And my husband was home a lot. We suddenly found we had a lot of time, just the two of us, living by the sea in rural Denmark, not quite sure what to do about it. In London, we had lots of friends and family and no time to see them. And suddenly we had all the time in the world and only each other to spend it with. And I am not one of those people who can spend, while away a weekend staring into a loved one's eyes. I need, people and activities and plans. I needed really to fill all these hours that we had. And so I wanted to do as the Danes do. And my next sort of sideline in terms of what Danes do differently is they have this real love of lifelong learning. And so we went back to school. So Danes have this love of lifelong learning, and they regularly go to evening classes, and both of these things have really been proven to boost brain power and help with happiness. So we thought, well, I want in. I'm going to try this. They do art classes, they do pottery, and the nice lady at the local council told us that we could have for free for 3 years. And we just thought, firstly, this was insanely generous. So to really get under the skin of living Danishly, I decided I need some actual Danish friends and had to find out what the Danes were doing. What were they filling their time with? And it was mostly this, as it turns out, amongst other things. But Danes love cycling. As anyone who's ever been there has probably seen them whizzing by. 50% of Copenhageners cycle to work. They commute to work. And every Dane owns at least one bike. But what Danes do differently is that they turn what would be a casual bike ride into a group event. So there are numerous clubs and associations for cycling, as well as any type of exercise. So this was really interesting to me because I thought, well, we all know about the mental and physical benefits of exercise and the way that can help you be happier. But what Danes are doing differently is they're doing it together, which fosters a sense of belonging, which makes you more likely to stick at it because you're doing it with other people. You don't want to let your teammates down or your group members. And it really it gives it a sense of purpose. So I found this really interesting, sort of the inner world of living Danishly and some of the key things about how to be happy Danish style. The first thing I learnt was that there's no word for please in Denmark. Did you know that? I did not. This cut out a good third of my vocabulary at the fell swoop. as a kind of a people-pleasing Brit, I didn't know what to do with myself. But Danes don't go in for politeness in the traditional sense. So you'll have doors slammed in your face. I mean, if you drop your shopping, you're picking it up on your own. Danes don't, it's not something that's important to them. It's not something that they value, because for Danes, it's all about honesty. So since I started befriending Danes, I've been told that I'm looking a bit fat, that I'm having a bad hair day, that my interior decor looks a little bit like a civil servant's, and that I don't have enough books to be considered intellectual, which is lovely. But you know what? It's fine. I find it funny now, and really, when you think about it, it's easier to be honest. It's better that way. I was having a bad hair day. The woman who said that about my books hadn't seen my upstairs bookcases. So, fine. And Danes just don't say yes when they mean no, which is a pretty good lesson to live by. So, you know, you don't say we must catch up if you don't want to see them. You don't ask someone around for dinner if you don't want them to turn up at your doorstep, because they will. I mean, I had made a throwaway comment once to my neighbours about that they should pop round to a barbecue when we were having some other friends over, some English friends to stay. And they came, of course, why would you say something you don't mean? But we all do it routinely. I certainly did, and tried to do it slightly less now. But, you know, if a Dane tells you you're looking great today, or says that they like you, you can probably trust that they mean it and there's no ulterior motive. And I found that really refreshing. Life's kind of easier that way. The next thing, once I was admitted into the inner circle of my new Danish friends, I was allowed into their homes. And they all had these enormous dining room tables as well, like at least 8-seaters. Our 6-seater felt very mean by comparison. And this is because dining together is something that's really important to most Danes. And I just read, actually, a study in the American Clinical Nutritional Journal saying that having a home-cooked meal and eating together has been shown to really boost happiness levels. And Danes do this every day because they work shorter hours than we do here, and because eating out is a bit more expensive. Eating a home-cooked family meal is a non-negotiable daily event. And so they have these big tables. It's incredibly sociable. So they have beautiful tables, beautiful lamps, beautiful chairs, Arne Jacobsen, and it's just something that Danes invest in because they're proud of. And Denmark has been described to me as a design society. It's been something that's been very important since the 1920s. There was an economic recession, but the government at the time decided that actually design is something that's really important for well-being and happiness, and so they invested in it. They invested in public sculptures, architecture, in schools, in hospitals, and they just thought this is important for happiness. And they were right, and about 90 years ahead of their time, because recent studies from I think it's Kingston, have shown that looking at beautiful objects of art and design can make us happier, and that looking at just one beautiful design item like this can create the same feelings in us as being in love, which I just found amazing. So that Danish people are walking into their homes feeling this rush of love as everyone looks great lit by their lamps, just by going home every day. So of course they're going to be happier. So Danish homes all look like something out of a weekend living supplement, with kind of white walls, wooden floors, great designer touches. And the Danes we met were incredibly proud of their homes, and they wanted to be hospitable and have people back there, and really proud of their Danish designers. And Danes are big on pride. The other thing I noticed around the place was the flag. The flag was everywhere. Anyone who's ever been to Denmark will see this outside offices, outside shops. If it's someone's birthday in Denmark, the flag will be covering their office desk or all around their door. And whereas flying the flag in the UK is seen as an almost political act, maybe it was given a brief reprise during the 2012 Olympics or at the birth of a royal baby. Generally, we just don't do it. Most Danes are proud of being Danish, something else that's been proven to boost happiness levels. It seems very un-British. They've kept all of the church festivals. Everybody will shut down whatever they're doing in November, and they'll bulk buy duck for St. Morten's Aften, which is St. Morten's feast. And at Easter, they'll cut out bits of paper into essentially like paper doilies for Easter. for no good reason. They'll celebrate with special buns in February. And at each of these times, the flag will be flying. And these regular rituals have also been proven to unite people and improve levels of contentment. So right now in Denmark, it's fine that I'm here because the whole country shuts down for July. Everyone takes their holiday en masse.